And here we are.
Back at it.
Dude, this will be fun. Look, first off, you did a great job at setting the aesthetic for this place.
If you can see this, isn't it like Cat Dog? If you're a 90s cartoon fan, somebody pointed that out to me not too long ago.
It looks like
A pirate version of Cat Dog.
I was going to say satanic.
Oh, well, that too.
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
Cat Dog, underrated.
It was a good cartoon.
Yeah, I loved it. We decided that we don't have the voice for radio, so we thought we more so had the bodies of YouTube.
Yeah.
The face for YouTube.
There's some ugly people on YouTube, so we know we can. We know we can do it.
Yeah, so here we are with a podcast. Some of you are going to be like, "What the heck? This was something else, and now it's a brand new podcast." But that's fine. Some of you on YouTube watching the very first episode, you have no idea what we're talking about. That's fine too. But we basically hijacked our old podcast, one, because we're lazy. All right. Two, we didn't want to have to rebuild an audience again.
No.
But there's an absolute shift in what we wanted to put out into the world. Before it was like, hey, let's do a podcast about talking about literally whatever we want to.
Mm-hmm.
Which was fun.
It was.
I had a lot of fun. Only thing is, when you decide, hey, we just want to talk about anything,
You end up talking about nothing.
that was exactly what I was thinking. You talk about nothing.
Yeah.
And I think over the last 2 years, we've decided that there's some specific things we want to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe the Lord's definitely been refining what we say. And now we know what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you, Anything Goes, for giving us a space to talk about anything, then to talk about nothing, to decide what we really want to talk about.
That's right.
So here we are, Sons and Saints, our YouTube channel, our podcast, really are focusing in. Look, anybody can listen to this, right?
Right.
Male, female, it doesn't matter. But our heart really is for helping men grow in their identity as a son of God, and then from that, the overflow of that would be seeing themselves as a saint wherever they are,
Mm-hmm.
in the workplace, in their home, in their church, literally anywhere your feet are. And so we want to encourage men and help men in those spaces, because I know, being in different rooms over the last few years, what being in spaces where you don't know things about, you begin to learn things, and then you get confident in those areas and say, hey, maybe those things are true for me as well.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately being just in relationship with you over the last decade now, I've seen my personal faith grow a ton. And what we really want to do is create a space and a platform for men to listen, to learn, but then to communicate with us as well, and just grow together into things that really matter, right?
Yep. Yeah. And while anybody can listen to it, definitely is catered towards the fellas.
Yeah.
So I know that we'll be focused in on some of those instances, but there is something ultimately lacking in the world today, in the area of men, in a lot of different venues, like you're talking about, all these different spaces that you're in, that the Sons and Saints message, I think, helps retrieve some of that. That is either it's been lost, or it's been ignored, or there's fear as to what that looks like. I mean, we're in a time right now where men are getting pop shots all the time, and we're definitely not here to be chauvinistic.
Right.
But how do we walk this stuff out so that we are who we're supposed to be, not what culture is kind of pigeonholing us to be, or maybe bad views even in the church or your family that have cultivated that mindset.
So we want to reclaim manhood, maybe redefine what some of those things look like, but then embrace who we are as men, not shy away from those things. God's given us responsibilities, regardless to if we're married or single. and we need to fully embrace those things
Yep.
and not shy away and not back away as well. If I feel like it's not popular to be a dude in
It's
2024.
really not.
Somebody's gonna be triggered by hearing me say that because I'm like,
Yeah,
you've had the last 2,000 years to be a man. Lord forbid the last 4 be rough on you. Right?
yeah. That's actually true. I think it is weird to say, but like if you're speaking from being an American, if you are a guy in America today that wants to, first off, that there's a religious affiliation of some kind, that's one. But that you would say that you want to actually be a better man
Yeah.
is almost like a
What do you mean?
yeah. What are you trying to? You get pigeonholed, I think, by that pursuit. So I know that there's some baggage that comes with
Yeah.
that. So
So, I mean, we're live in Fox's garage. Now, I wish you could see all around us, but this is where we're at. We're going to talk. The whole point of the bi-weekly video podcast is we're going to have conversations with specific topics. Today, we wanted more so explain what's going on, but before we get into those things, like, I mean, what's been going on in your space? Dude, I'll tell you this. Driving over here, I listened to Post Malone's got this new album out. Country music album is freaking awesome. Didn't know we needed him in this space, but boy, glad
That's
he's
good.
in there. I wasn't prepared though. He has a song called Yours, and it's about he's singing it to his daughter, but it's about one day in the future her getting married. I had alligator tears in my eyes. I was not prepared for the things. So if you're a guy watching this or listening to this, like if you haven't listened to the song, you got to. If you have a girl, have you listened to it yet?
No.
All right, don't listen to it around anybody. Just by yourself. Listen to it because emotionally you're not going to be prepared. I had to turn it off afterwards and just go back 2 songs to where he's talking about could he fall in love with a girl, and do you love him enough to if he committed murder, would you hide his gun? So I
You
was like,
needed to distract. A
yeah,
little
I was
bit.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where you're gonna go. But I had to go back to that. It's like this is more my speed
Yeah.
today. Thinking about my daughter getting married in 20, 30 years. No thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's going on in your space?
Well, I mean, to echo the Post Malone, I've been a Post Malone guy. I don't think he's done a song that I'm just like, they're all great. But I got a guy for that is probably
A great
hitting
song.
pretty close
Great
up
song.
there. But no, man, I would just say just normal stuff, really, just business stuff with Woco, and then kids we're back into school, but also we're heavy on the extracurriculars this year. So Amsley's doing dance, and Declan's doing flag football. Kingston's in the band. Rowan's
So you're blowing and going all over the place.
which is good too. I mean, I think I mentioned at your house the other day that I don't know if I could have done this a long time. Like when you're in your Pee Wee Sports top era, I don't know that we could have done that. Not because of could we have figured it out time wise and money wise. I don't think I had a good rhythm of my normal life. I didn't understand what my rhythm even would look like, what I'd have to do. I didn't consider things. I was just kind of, and so if we would have been doing this, 6-7 years ago, I'd have been exhausted.
Yeah.
But I think we've got a good handle on how to get everybody where they need to be and enjoy it, and it not be like, oh my God, we got to get so and so somewhere. So it's been busy, but it's been good.
You know what's funny? Like I remember 6 years ago, like preaching messages to parents about how busy your schedules are with kids' extracurriculars and all this stuff. Not understand. I was definitely talking outside of my measure. As a dad of a infant, let me speak in this arena, and now having a kid in all this different stuff, like, and now you as well, like, do you feel like your tone's changed any?
Oh yeah. No, I think that what you're to that point, like your measure, like speaking outside your measure, it is so funny. You think about when you hear comments from people that don't have kids yet, and they'll say things like, "When I have a kid, I'll never."
Right.
I used to hear that with the iPad or the phone,
Right.
stuff all the time. And do I think that your kid should be given an iPad or iPhone every 5 seconds? No, I don't. But when you've got multiple kids
Yeah.
and you haven't had sleep, or you're trying to do something and it's imperative that you get this thing done, you're not ruining anybody's life by handing them an iPad. You're saving someone's life. So I think there's a large part of that as you start to understand some of the things that when you don't have that environment, you would have looked at and judged really harshly. You're like, I really call it the grandparent syndrome.
Yeah.
Because grandparents are super chill, doing the exact opposite of what they did as parents.
They've walked through it and they know. And they're like,
I tell it now. It's funny because I'll watch parents with their kids, and I'm a lot more chill than I even was when we first started having kids, obviously. But there's certain things that don't bother me as much anymore. But that grandparent syndrome, I'm like all the time. I'm like, tell Jennifer's parents this for sure, because they'll come over and eat on Sundays. I'll just be like, I'm constantly trying to borrow how easy it is for y'all to interact with my kids in a situation where typically I would be like, quit doing that. Why are you? Because it's just not that big. Yeah. Some of it's just not that big of a deal. But yes, my tone has changed.
If you're if you're a parent that's got kids all over the place, salute to you. My kids are only in dance.
Yeah.
Well, actually, my oldest did a drawing lesson with you this week. Yeah. So it was like drawing lesson, other kid was in dance, and then back to dance tomorrow.
She's in the arts, my guy.
And my brain is just like trying to get people I don't know how my dad did it back in the day. I remember him and my mom. We played every sport just back to back to back to back. No off season, no breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on staff full time at a church. My mom worked as well because my dad wasn't making any money. Mm-hmm. So all the things, like, I look back, I'm like, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's wild.
Salute.
Tops off.
Salute. I was just thinking though, because now you're in the rec world now, like as far as sports.
Mm-hmm.
This is your first time, right?
Mm-hmm. Like for real. Yeah. I mean, the kids have done track, but we don't really. That's not really.
I like track.
I mean, it's great, but it's not a team sport. Football in the South is different. I mean, this is a whole different world.
I think about Jonathan Fox and the Fox crew running rampant at the Little League field. That's just not something
You're telling me. That listen, I had a full-blown panic attack when I was talking about registering Declan for flag football. A page pops up and it says coach or assistant coach, and there's no option to skip. I'm like, bro, I don't know anything about football. When I say I don't know anything about football, when you say he's playing safety, I just thought that meant he was holding back a little. You know what I'm saying? Like
he's safe.
Yeah, he's being safe about it. He's not going to get hurt. You know,
right.
And I don't. There's never been a want to know anything about it. And I've been around football you can't live down here and not be around it. I've watched it. I've gone to games. I don't know anything. And when that thing popped up and it was almost like saying you need to pick one or the other, I was like, worst fears coming to life of being in an environment where you don't know what to do or whatever. And so thank God there was this little light blue thing that said next page. I was like, oh my God, I thought they were going to try to recruit me and would have been the worst recruit of the Gardendale flag.
What would have happened
football.
Like if your coach, I know your coach, but like what if he would have asked you to help?
I would have said, man, I'm athletic. I could throw the ball. I could help you run the plays, but don't ask me to know what that means when it's like, hey, make sure he's doing blah, blah, blah. You'd have to teach me just like you're teaching these kids.
Could you just be like the water boy?
And I will do that. You know I will. I'll get you water. I'll hand you your whiteboard with the marker. I'll be the best gopher in the world.
Signs up
I'll do it.
Plays,
yes.
The fake signs.
Yes. I will be the greatest cheerleader. The first game's on Saturday, so we'll kind of see how all that pans out. I'm excited. Declan is a sports guy. He loves he's never played sports for real, but he's always been attracted to basketball, football, and he's played in the neighborhood and stuff like that. So this is a big deal for him. So I'm excited for him, and they played really well last night at a scrimmage last night. So
Did they get the dub?
oh yeah,
Good.
yes sir. They were running like a well-oiled machine.
Declan, he got the grace of God over his life when he came to my house because he wanted to play college football.
Oh yeah.
And that was the night the power went off.
Oh yeah.
I was in the process of really
wrecking him,
getting to the point I was about to lay the hammer down. I'd scored twice, and he had just turned the ball over again. I got to go up 21. Power blinked. He didn't want to play anymore. If it didn't blink, it went off for a few hours. Luckily,
right. Yes,
he
was saved.
Yeah.
Well, he was wearing a Justin Jefferson jersey. He's a Vikings fan. He wore that to school yesterday, but he was going to wear it to practice. And then halfway there, he was like, I shouldn't have wore this jersey. If I'm wearing this jersey, they're going to expect me to catch every ball that comes my way. And I was like, I didn't even know Justin Jeffries was a receiver. He could have been a tight end for all I know. And I know what that word is, but I have no earthly idea what a tight end does. So I have no clue. I just thought it was somebody that kept their butt clenched together, tight end.
They're good. I still think I want to talk about it because it's one of my favorite stories of all time. And we've got content we're going to get into. Believe me, we got content we're going to get into. But I don't think we can talk about rec sports and not talk about there's two of my favorite rec sports stories ever. One, they're both involve you. One was you had an Auburn hat on, and then the other one is when you robbed the kid of the home run. That's right?
When was that?
Like a kid hit a home run, but you came off the base early.
Oh yeah, and Coach Puccio, he saw me in a parking lot like 20 years later, and he's like, "I just told that." So I was like, "My God, is that failure literally going to haunt me my entire life?"
I don't think it's a failure, but man, what a So help me if I'm wrong. You're on first base.
Second
base. Little league. You can't lead off. You can't steal any of that stuff. If you come off the base as a dead ball, whatever happens just happens. You come off the base like you're going to steal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
Kid hits a home run.
Yeah.
And it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Now, what would be funny about that is that was the only home run that kid ever hit.
I'm sure it probably was. Yeah, that was a good one. And as far as, again, like I said, I was athletic. I played sports.
Yeah.
Soccer, baseball, basketball. I played all.
And you can still play any of them.
Right.
If you were on my team, I'm not like, oh my gosh.
Right. I can do what I need to do. Football is just another world, though, to me. There's just so many things about it because the team is so large and there's so many positions. I was used to, you've got a team of maybe, fully 10 to 12 people.
Yeah.
And you're rotating maybe in and out, but the mechanics of the game are not difficult, or as far as the understanding of the game. To me, football is still just one of the most not confusing. It's just a lot going on, more than I would have originally thought, So
I played football 1 year. I absolutely hated it. I wanted to quit every day. My dad wouldn't let me. He made me stay like the whole year. Yeah. Kudos, shout out, Dad. Not letting you quit something. Right. Salute. But I just was not. You have to be aggressive.
Right.
I'm just not aggressive.
Yeah. It is the most full contact sport. Right. So it's there's so much involved. Again, there's so many things happening at every play.
Yeah. You have to be aggressive every snap or you're going to get destroyed.
Right.
I just don't know where that aggressiveness is.
Yeah.
Maybe mine comes out differently.
Sure.
But it's not there. So I hated it. And the last practice of my freshman year, I broke my hand because I was like, you know what? This is the last practice. We're doing a Omaha drill. I don't think you're allowed to do these anymore. Basically, you can just kill each other.
Yeah.
And I was going up against a kid who I couldn't stand. I remember his name. I'm not going to say his name on this podcast, but he just got on my last nerves. And I was like, you know what? This last one, I'm going to do wherever you can find aggression. I found it, and I laid him out. Laid him out.
Solid.
Here's what's bad about it, though. I was not aggressive all year, so I'm like one of like the I don't even know the politically correct term to say, but I just was not aggressive. And the coach, everybody's yelling, going crazy, but the coach is not happy for me.
Sure.
He's disappointed
Because you didn't play like that.
He's disappointed that the other kid let me lay him
okay.
out.
I thought it was gonna be like a real true coaching moment. No. Man, where was that aggression all year?
No. So
he was more so upset that you.
He was upset like that. He didn't give. You didn't give your best effort on this last play, and you just let Trace lay you out. So I'm like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, but the coach is yelling and says, get out on the ground and do it again. I want you to give your best effort. And I was like, I pretty much just gave my best effort.
You used up. The tank is empty.
I shook at that point in time. And then this other kid is embarrassed because I laid him out. And now he's mad.
I'm angry.
Because his coach called him out for not giving best effort. And he annihilates me. But his helmet hits my hand. And it breaks my hand in the process. So then he does it, and the coach runs up. He's like, oh, baby, I told you don't give up on plays. And he's talking to the other kid, and I'm just like laying there. That's my arm. And then I get up, and I don't tell anybody that I broke my hand because I'm not confrontational either. I don't want my coach to think I'm a pansy. And so I finished practice with broken hand. So how about that?
Hey.
Yeah. But after that, I knew in that moment, I'll never play football again.
I never had a want. Well, I was in a band too. Yeah, that was another.
That's middle school.
The seasons kind of.
We make a lot of weird decisions in middle school.
Yeah, amen to that. I was smoking Marlboro Reds,
Oh, we try so many different things. One day I'm wearing like a FUBU jersey and Allen Iverson's shoes to school.
Okay.
And the next day I had on Etnies and a skater shirt. Like,
bro,
the gamut. I go back and forth trying to decide who I was.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I said, we do have some stuff to talk about. But how about this? Ad read. We're getting paid for ads. Not really. But with Sons and Saints, we have tons of resources out. Like, that's the other thing about this. Like, our propensity would be to do things quickly. Like, we come up with an idea, let's just go.
Let's do it.
I feel like we have not done that with this endeavor, because old us would just have started this a year ago.
Yep.
But we've been like working on the back end for almost a year now, creating content and all that type of stuff. We have a blog that we are sharing things on a weekly basis. A blog that we can't even post on Facebook.
It's been censored.
We've been censored. Facebook doesn't even, which is so crazy that we can't talk about. People talk about some of the most random things.
Crazy stuff.
Like, I get like suggested posts all the time. They're like vulgar cartoons. Like, it's basically porn, but it's just always on my feed. But if I tried to share a link to the blog for Sons and Saints, it goes against their community guidelines, and we can't share it. Which is not. We didn't have that in our launch strategy at all. Yeah. What happens when you can't share your content on the platform
censored
where you've built your audience?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have that on that rolling out a plan. Like, oh, what do we do when Facebook censors our stuff? So, anyways, we have a blog. You can totally get to it in our show notes. We'll have a link to the blog. On our Instagram bio, there's a link to. Well, we've done a workaround with like a bit.ly URL that you can click to, and then you click on it and go to our blog. It's literally the only way we can share stuff on Instagram and Facebook. But you can check out our blog. We do a weekly blog as well. But yeah, we've got tons of content. On top of that, we've done 2 devotionals, 5-day devotionals, geared towards some specific things. And so before we get into our content today, I just want to talk about some of those. So like, hey, like, are you struggling with feelings of not belonging or constantly striving for approval? Our Orphan Heart devotional is designed to help you break free from these chains and step into the freedom of knowing your true place as a son of God. And if you've ever caught yourself thinking of yourself as just a sinner saved by grace, our Saint Saved by Grace devotional is for you. This series challenges the mindset and encourages you to embrace your identity as a saint set apart and cherished by God. Both of these devotionals are completely free, and they're available now. Just click the link in the show notes and go to sonsandsaints.com/devo to download them. All you gotta do is click the link, put in your email address, and we're gonna send you the devotionals one day at a time for 5 days. And they're super. I love them. I put a lot of work into those things. And about that, I kind of felt. I won't say professional reading an ad read, but
it felt legit.
Maybe too legit.
Too legit to quit.
I knew that was coming. That's not what I meant. But thanks, ChatGPT, for helping us create that too.
I said ChatGPT the other day and got roasted by like.
How did you say it?
ChatGTP.
GTP? Okay. What is GTP?
I have no clue.
GDP is what I'm thinking. That's
GDP?
It's our currency.
GDP? Isn't that like your growth? Like, what is it? Something.
We're talking outside of our measure.
We really are.
Yeah.
I hear GDP all the time. I actually heard a whole thing about California's GDP and why it works and why it's
I watched that video.
Yeah.
On Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to that guy. I was like...
Super interesting.
It was super interesting.
Because of how much money they have. He compared it to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're getting algorithmed and sent the same videos to watch. I watched it.
Dude, yeah. Stuff on the economy per state is very interesting. Because you would think, well, no, they all have to... But they don't.
Yeah.
Like, you can live in one state and it'd be, like, diametrically different.
Yeah. That was interesting just because I feel like the national narrative is that California is going to implode.
Yeah.
Basically, he was saying it's not going to implode because it will sustain itself because of the amount of money that
the tech industry
makes.
Is insane.
So
what he said, like you've got Meta, Google, Apple, and
he named one I didn't know.
Yeah. But you've got them
$1 trillion companies. Is it trillion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we get algorithm, dude. Because I'll get that, and then I'll get some like Kill Tony podcast right afterwards, and then some gamer stream after that.
So funny.
Yeah, or then have you heard of Ruslo? He reacts to like Christian videos, or he'll talk about Christian hot topics and stuff. He's worth watching too. Shout out, Bless God. That's the name of his YouTube channel.
Yeah,
but yeah, so. Based on that, like let's talk about why we started this. Really starting with the word son. I feel like over the last 2 years, the biggest revelation in our lives has been embracing sonship.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I'd love to explain more of what that is, and then why it's important for guys in general.
Yeah. Man, in our culture, we spend so much time preaching a gospel that is only relegated to saving you so you can go to heaven and doesn't speak as much to your identity. Now, I would say that's been our experience. I don't think that's necessarily true as a whole, but you see it in the church culture, especially where we are, where the main objective is to get you to heaven. And so sometimes when that's preached so much, you can start to think things that aren't true. And one of the things I think that starts happening is you don't see the fullness of what the gospel really is, which is that God brings you into his family. You have a lot more liberty as a son. I think you just live differently because it's not on you to perform anything. Servants have to perform and sons have to perform for sure, in the sense that they have things to do. But servants perform so they can have a place, and we would say that sons perform from a place. Mm-hmm. And I think that those are two different Christianities. And I think the reason it matters is because it fundamentally changes how you live, how you interact with God, and then how your life is, which that's the sonship part. If that's here, then the result of that is your sainthood. It starts to flow out. Your sonship starts to flow into the how you are with everybody else, which is what being a saint is. You're the called of God in the world, and you know you could do this all day and make a chart of how does a servant live toward God, and then how would they express that in the world, and then you could do it in your sonship and then your sainthood, and they're going to look completely different. There will be things about it that are the same, your morality, those types of stuff, but the core of who you are and then how that gets expressed starts to, I think, fundamentally change, and hence is the reason we have experienced that. And as we've experienced that, the more we've realized this doesn't need to be a one-off topic. This isn't just, oh yeah, also your sonship, but like, no, this is really, the gospel really does root us deeply into this, as a conversation, as what we want to promote and what we want to do content on and what we want to share with people, but so that it can fundamentally change your life.
Yeah. I mean, because even having revelation of Son, the ultimate place we look to for how to walk out being God's kid, because we could say son. I know there's probably some females who watch too.
Sure.
Daughter as well. At the end of that, child of God. The best place for us to look at as the example for this is Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We'll spend the rest of our life trying to line up our sonship as to what the ultimate, like what Jesus' sonship looked like. Because if not, like, there will still be instances where I'll act like I was as a natural kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do things for approval. I'll do things just to make God happy or out of fear of disappointing, right? So we want to really look to see who Jesus is. How did Jesus live as a son? What made him so confident in, like, because ultimately he knew who God was. He knew the Father.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knew he didn't have to perform a certain type of way. He just wanted to obey him, just out of just pure, like, revelation of who God was. And that's really where we kind of have to walk into, like, understanding that in my flesh, I'll walk out my life as an orphan because I just want acceptance. I want approval. I want love. But the place that comes from really is God. And how I see God is really how I'm going to believe, or how I believe is how I'm going to behave in those places. And so if God's distant, then God's distant from me. If he's close, then obviously he's close. But if I feel like he doesn't care what I do in this world, then again, it won't have anything to do with those things either. So, like, truly understanding our position as son is something that you don't just get overnight.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's something we will just have to continue to walk into, but it's ultimately the thing, because everything else will come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
If my heart posture is not from this place of I'm God's son in whom he's well pleased, then I'm already operating from a loss,
mm-hmm.
or from a deficit,
Yep.
for sure. So yeah, what would you say over the last 2 years has been the biggest shift for you in this revelation of sonship?
Peace. I mean, I can sum up my entire life as a continual shift from chaotic, overwhelmed, just worry, anxiety, to places of actual, real peace. So when the scripture says that there is a peace that God gives that surpasses your understanding, so that's what sonship has brought to my life. It would be that fruitfulness of, like, oh my gosh, I really don't have to make everybody happy. I don't have to, achieve this thing to have worth. It just peace. And when I used to say to a couple of people that I was walking through some things with, I would say this to them. I would say, aren't you tired of being miserable? And because I remember places where I was miserable, that seems like another person. It's like that was like a friend I had that, man, he's really miserable. That's how I was. I was miserable in a lot of places in my interior world, for sure. everything else in my world was going okay. You know, it wasn't like I was in a huge deficit. But I think that's the point. Is it's not necessarily a climbing of the social ladder or to in business, even though it affects those things. Your interior world gets radically changed. And for me, I was in a deep need for peace that I've been steadily receiving more and more of. I didn't realize, I thought it was kind of like you said, you get it and then it's like, wow. But then you realize there are almost like stages where you experience more, you understand more, and there's a greater sense of his peace in your life, settledness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the same there. Just coming from a place of constantly trying to create or build or achieve
Mm-hmm.
for approval, recognition. Beyond that, a sense of safety and security in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That I could be the ultimate one to make my family safe and secure, let have a legacy. All the things that we hear and they're like, oh man, those are great, honorable things to achieve in life. Like they were becoming so pressure filled. Now I'm not like I get pressure and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's good. Like understand, like, hey, I want to put myself in place. I know there's a cost to achieving certain things, but like it was the makeup of who I was. Like I
Right.
was putting myself in spots just to do the hard thing or to do the thing that nobody else I thought would be willing to do in order to accomplish this thing that led to safety.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, God is the only thing that's safe in my life.
Mm-hmm.
He is my comfort, or He is my security. Right? He's the fortress that I run to and hide, not my bank account, not uh, my passive income or my job or any of those things. Um, so I was just like, well, I was looking for security
Mm-hmm.
in all these other places. And if anything, now after walking through this the past few years, is like I know where my security comes
Mm-hmm.
from, and it's not in those things. So it makes that scripture in Philippians 4 a little more like my reality that with a little or a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm content
Yeah.
because I can do all things in Christ who gives me strength. Not not so I can hit a baseball over a fence or anything
Right.
like that, but just so I'm secure.
Yeah.
My family is secure. It's not just on me. Now I know God gives me responsibility,
Sure.
but I've got to recognize that He's given me responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Not like I just grabbed
Right. Right.
responsibility
Right.
or willed responsibility out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, so yeah, I would say security would be the biggest thing
Yeah.
for me uh, as a son. Um, and yeah, this is like will be like an ongoing topic that we talk about. But there's other things we want to talk about as well. I know I mentioned it earlier, but like we really want to create a space for guys to learn together,
Mm-hmm.
but then also to be in like in community with one another. Say, hey, there's other dudes trying to accomplish the same things in life that I'm trying to
Yeah.
accomplish, who believe the same things that I believe, and we want to glean from each other. We want to grow with each other. We want to talk through issues together. When you're around someone that you can identify, oh wow, we have like same values. We can pull from each other in
Yeah.
those spots, and ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. So, I mean, right now we're making podcasts, making videos, we're writing blogs. We've got a private Facebook group that you can be a part of. Like, you can read the devotionals. But like next year, we really are going to start a group for guys to spend time together on a weekly basis through Zoom. And then beyond that, once a year, gather together, pray with one another, seek God with one another, learn new things together. Like that is ultimately where we're trying to go with this. Yeah, we're going to goof off around the time. I mean, that's just who we are. We
Yeah.
like to laugh. We like to talk about other stuff. But then we know that where two or three are gathered, God's present. And I think that's why we mesh so well, because we could talk about the most crazy, stupid thing in
Right.
one instance, but then also recognize that the Spirit of God is present with us. And we want to be transformed more into his image. And one of the ways that happens is through us sharing life experience, praying for one another, talking about things of God, growing in those spaces as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun journey.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. That's the end of the first episode. I look forward to hearing if one of our buddies, I'm not going to say his name, I know you know who I'm thinking about, if he's going to text us and tell us this was absolute hot garbage. So we'll see. But anyways, we'll see you in 2 weeks with episode 2. Not Revenge of the Sith. What is that one called?
Star Wars?
Clone Wars?
You'll have to ask Kate.
Oh,
She's
sorry.
the nerd.
I'm not a Star Wars fan. Anyways, see you later.